It is Wednesday, the 28th of Feb 2024, which means F1 is back on track tomorrow for the first time this year. Now, that gives me a good opportunity to predict what I think will happen this year. Before I say anything, go in the comments down below. Let me know who you think is going to win the World Championship and any other predictions that you might have. So I want to start off first. I got notes. So I want to start off first with 3 bold predictions that I've made, because I don't want to do like positions because I think that'd be boring. So I want to do 3 bold predictions and then all the drivers and all the constructors. And then I think it'll be fun to see how many I got at the end of the year. So, bold predictions. Number 1, I think Norris is going to win his first race. Like, it's no secret, he's a very complete driver. And he came close quite a few times already. A lot of P2s, a lot of P3s. And I think that he'll have a race, maybe like an Austria or Silverstone, high-speed track where their car's really competitive. Won't be good at Bahrain. I think they're going to be weak there this weekend. But I think Norris will have his first race. Bold claim number 2. And this one is, well, it's kind of bold. But Danny Rick to Red Bull for Perez and Perez to RB, which is like the what used to be called Toro Rosso, for those of you who don't know. I'm sure all of you probably knew that before me. But yeah, Red Bull love swapping their drivers. Checo, for me, the second half of last year was just not on the money. And I think the only reason they didn't demote him last year is because he was still P2 in the champs. I think this year, if he ends up dropping, maybe to like anything that's not P2, I think that's all the excuse they need. And then I think they're going to drop him. Bold claim number 3. I think Charles Leclerc will get 4.5 or more poles. I've said it like that because, you know, in betting, you say it. Basically 5 or more poles. So, yeah, so more than 4.5, you would say. I think he'll get 5 or more poles. I think he's rapid. And with the data, I didn't look at any data. With the lap times that I was looking at from the race run on the last day, which I think was Friday, maybe Thursday last week, I thought Leclerc in particular, but the Ferraris were just firing their tyres up better than the Red Bull. The Red Bull pace is mind-blowing, absolutely insane. Especially for Verstappen, he's absolute animal. But I do think that over one lap, they switch their tyres on, and we know how fast Leclerc is on one lap. So I think he will just nick Verstappen to a few poles. That being said, you get 24 chances this year. It's a very long calendar. I think the most races I ever did in one season was 24, but that was 1 qualifying for each race. Sorry, each race weekend, and then it was 3 races per weekend. So, except for 1, which was 2. Anyway, 24 chances to get a pole. That's a lot. I think Leclerc will definitely do that. And they're going to be announcing, they've either just announced today, or they're going to announce tomorrow, the new sprint format. So, I've not seen that yet. Maybe there's another qualifying in that. But if he gets poles in them, I'm counting them as well. So let's do constructors first, and I'm going to go reverse from top 10. So P10, Haas. They look slow, didn't they? P9, Sauber, Kick, Sauber. What's their other sponsor? Stake. I think Kick owns Stake, or Stake owns Kick. One's gambling and the other's streaming. Anyway, Sauber. I think they'll go P9. I don't like their car, by the way it looks with the bright green. I think it's a shame. It's looks like a, you know, when you're poorly and you get your bogeys. Anyway, P8 Williams. I think from looking at the lap times, they're just a bit behind that really tight pack. So I think they're going to go P8. I really rate Albon, and I actually think Logan Sargent's underrated too. So I think they'll go actually better than what their equipment should go. But I just don't think their kit is quite in that big battle. But again, just like McLaren, the high-speed tracks like your Monzas, your Silverstones, was it Las Vegas where they both qualied in Q3? They'll be, I think, probably quite fast there again. But from the videos what I watched, they look really unstable on the rear end. Sargent even spun into a hairpin the one lap. So I think that they'll find it hard. Then P7, Alpine. I just don't think they look as strong as what they did last year, and last year they didn't look particularly strong. So yeah, P7 for Alpine. I've put P6, RB, the new Toro Rosso. I think they're looking half decent, but you know, it's so tight from, well, P5 I've put Aston, and what I'm saying is it's Aston were literally podiuming for like all of the first half of last year. So for RB to then jump and to be beating them, I think in just 1 year is too much of an ask. But I do think they'll be able to be beating Alpine and Williams consistently. So that's why I've put them P6. P5, like I just said, Aston Martin. I think realistically Alonso's probably going to carry the team a bit. I'm expecting Alonso to get some more podiums, but like watching his interviews, he's not looking, he's normally like quite positive, and even in the McLaren days he'd be like, oh yeah, we'll be good, whatever, in the pre-season, and then obviously get a bit demoralised when the equipment wasn't there, and he does not even look that happy now in his interviews. So I'm thinking the Aston's not looking that strong. Maybe they'll be good at Bahrain because it's such an abrasive circuit, loads of sand gets onto the track, and it's quite low speed for the majority, I'd say. And the Aston was really good on its tyres. So, you know, when it's traction limited, I think they'll be strong. So Bahrain, I'm expecting them to be stronger this weekend than what they would be at a Silverstone, let's say. So P5. Now, the top four, the big four. Well, these three, I think you could probably, from P2 to P4, you could probably put them in any order and be right. But I've gone for Mercedes P4, is what I've gone for. Yeah, it was a bit of a mix-up between McLaren and Mercedes. And I've gone Mercedes P4, McLaren P3. I just think that's the way it's going to play out, I'm afraid. Russell, I thought, even though I rate Russell so highly, and I am a bit biased because I remember watching him in karting. When I was in karting, I was always like a category or two behind him. And I'd watch him and I used to think he was like unreal. So I am biased, I do really like Russell. But last year, it wasn't a great year for him. I thought Hamilton looked a lot stronger than him. And he was better than Hamilton the year prior in 22. So, I don't know, I think going off that form might be a bit difficult for them to be like really putting together well executed weekends. So, for that reason, I've put in P4, Mercedes. P3, I put McLaren. I think that was phenomenal, the way they turned around the season last year. But I just don't think they looked as strong as Ferrari at the test. That being said, Bahrain's very unique, so perhaps it's just a Bahrain thing. But for that reason, I put Ferrari P2. So as I say, those three from P2 to P4, you could kind of put anywhere. But I've gone Ferrari P2. I think Leclerc and Sainz are both going to be starting races right at the front. I think from what it looks like on the tyre warm-up, it's just going to fire up. That's another thing. I saw Piastri's race run on the last day of the test, and they were like doing 38s. He was. Verstappen was banging like 37 deads and 37 ones for like 15 laps in a row. It was insane, Verstappen's pace. But even Leclerc was going like mid to low 37s and then tailing off to 38s. Piastri wasn't even in 38s. Obviously, you can carry whatever fuel you want, but if Ferrari and Red Bull are doing 15, 20 laps, you've got to have at least 15 laps of fuel in. So it's not like a one lap thing where you could just be literally on quali fuel or 100 kilo. But anyway, time will tell with that one. P1, Red Bull. I mean, do I need to explain that? So, moving on to the drivers. I wrote this original prediction yesterday, and then I was thinking about it. I thought I'd put Alonso too low, so I've put Alonso up a few spots, even though I don't think he's going to have the equipment. But hopefully they can turn that around. I really like Alonso. So anyway, P20, K-Mag. I think the Haas are slow, so I had to put him down there. P19, Chinese Joe. Yeah, I think same sort of thing. I think the Sauber's slow. I think your Haas's and your Saubers, they'll be the teams where they can steer a P9 or a P8. That'll be like a win for them. P18, Hulk, and P17, Bottas. So yeah, that's what I'm saying about Haas and Sauber. overly optimistic for them. P16 and P15, Sargent in 16, Albon in P15. Even though I think that the Williams is looking better than those two prior cars, I don't think they're quite going to be in the midfield battle for a lot of the slower technical tracks. But like I say, your Australias, your Silverstones, Austria as well. Austria and Australia both sound similar, and both their tracks are high speed. Fancy that. Anyway, I think those tracks will be good. But like I say, Las Vegas, but it's like, I don't really see them getting podiums. So you might grow a P5 or a P6, and then, you know, your bad weekends like Bahrain, I'd be shocked if you either score a point. You never know what can happen. Maybe people will break down. It might be a race of attrition like it was that one year in 2022. But yeah, for that reason I put in P16, P15. P14, Gasly. Yeah, I feel like the Alpines are going to be the last of that midfield. And like I say, Williams for sure would be beating them at some races. And then P13, Ocon. P12, then I've gone Tsunoda. So yeah, that's about right with my teams. P11, I've gone Stroll. P10, so because I said Danny Rick, and I think will get put into Red Bull, and then I think Perez will get put to RB, then I was like, well, that's going to obviously mix up their point score loads. So if you assume it's around, I was going off the basis that after Hockenheim in 2019, they swapped Gasly for Albon, off the top of my head. I think that was the last race. Going into Spa, and then in 2016 it was going into Spain, which was after Russia, I want to say. So they did China, that's where Kvyat got called Tornado. Then they did China, he got called that. I think I said China. And then they did Russia, and Russia is where he smashed off Vettel. Like, he actually smashed him off that time. he got the sack. So well, he got demoted. So because of that, I've gone Tsunoda P12, like I said, Stroll P11 in the Aston, Perez P10, because I think he's going to he'll score points in the Red Bull, but then after he gets demoted, he won't be scoring as highly in the other car. I've gone Russell P9, someone's got to go there. Now P8, I've gone Danny Rick, because I think he'll start in the RB and then he'll get promoted to the Red Bull. The reason why I think they'll put in Ricciardo over Tsunoda is because, from what I understand, Tsunoda's in that seat because he's got Honda backing, and so therefore he's not, even though obviously he's part of the Red Bull family and all the rest of it, he's not like going to be their favourite. I see Danny Rick as like the golden child, because, well, first of all, he's so marketable. How can you not like him? And second of all, he's a proper pilot, and he's bagged them loads of results in the past. So I feel like they would go for him over Tsunoda for now, because then if he fails, then they can always put Tsunoda in. Whereas it's kind of hard to do it the other way around. If they put in Tsunoda now, this year, obviously, hypothetically speaking, if Perez gets a sack, then you can't really take Tsunoda out and then put him back in. I feel like that's quite difficult to do. So for that reason, I think they'll put in Ricciardo over Tsunoda, and I think Ricciardo P8. Then P7, Piastri, and P6, Alonso. That's what I was playing around with. So originally I had Alonso in like P10, and then I was like, I just know he's going to nick a couple of podiums, so I can't put him P10 because he'll just boost himself. But that being said, where this might have screwed me, where I might have screwed myself on this prediction, is the other lads might be really consistent over Alonso. So it's hard to know, but yeah, Alonso P6. So now into the top 5, I've gone P5, Sainz. I really rate him. I think he's underrated. I think he is brilliant. I think he's up against one of, if not the fastest driver in Leclerc. But I think Sainz is better over a race run. If I had a team and I had to pick someone for like based on race run, I'd pick Sainz over Leclerc. So anyway, I put in P5, which might be a bit harsh, but P5. Then I've gone P4, Norris. As I say, I think Norris will win a race, but yeah, I don't think he'll be able to challenge for the championship. Hamilton P3, Reason for that, I think Hamilton might win a race. I feel like he's going to nick one this year, but I just don't think the Merc's going to be competitive enough to fight for the title. But what he was really good at last season, he was just super consistent. That's how he came P3 last season. He was just so good. Like, I never thought the Merc was really the second best car, but he was always, because it was always really the Ferrari and then the McLaren, wasn't it? Anyway, Hamilton was always there or thereabouts, really strung together a good season, really executed it well. So for that reason, I've put him P3. I think he's probably going to feel like he's got a point to prove now that he's leaving Merc. So I think he'll do well again. P2, I've put Leclerc. Probably no surprise there. I think he will not really challenge for the championship either, to be honest. But I think he'll be so fast in quali. He'll always be starting on the front row. He'll get a lot of front row starts and a lot of top threes in quali, I'd say. And then I think Verstappen for the title. And I think it's going to, unfortunately, I don't want it to be, even though I really like Verstappen because I rate him so much. I think it's going to be another season of domination for him. So those are my predictions. I've done, so obviously 20 drivers, 10 teams, and then 3 like out there predictions. So out of those 33 predictions, it'll be interesting to see how many come true. So at the end of the season, I'll obviously review this and go through it. But comment below, like I said, hopefully you did it at the start and you're not copying me yet. But comment down below what you're predicting for this championship. Who do you think is going to win this weekend at Bahrain? And if you have watched this far, then thank you very much. I really appreciate it. But could you like the video, please, as it really helps me in the algorithm. So yeah, thank you for watching, if you're still watching. I mean, if you're not watching, then you're not even seeing this. So yeah, thank you everyone who's watching. Yeah, and I'll see you in the next one.